Please state your name, age, and occupation.
My name is Jack Racine. I'm 60 years old and I am a project manager.
Shawnee Sumter, 41 years old, instructional teacher.
Jerry Geo, my age, I wish not to disclose.
50.
50. And my occupation is, what am I? Assistant office manager.
My name 90210 Bull, you feel me? I'm 18, young nigga, you feel me? And I can't tell you what I do, man.
Okay.
Mom, over 40, acupuncturist.
Ernestine Robertson, Pinecrest Cafeteria, Lancer, 73.
The war on drugs is the prohibition of drugs, military aid, and military intervention, with the stated aim being to reduce the illegal drug trade. How do you feel about this in general?
I think it's like putting your finger in the dam. It's just so much coming in that it's a very small percentage that they actually get, but it does help.
I think it's good that we're going to try and reduce the illegal drug trade.
Drugs are good. Drugs are not bad. Weed is not drugs, you guys. Crack and flock is killing people, so there is really no war on drugs.
Have you had any personal experiences with debates on drugs, the usage of drugs, or the trading of drugs?
I have used drugs in the past.
Well, I've had neighbors who have sold drugs. I've had children in my neighborhood who have OD'd on drugs. I have family members. Drugs are very prevalent.
I have patients that are addicts and I treat them for their addictions.
No.
Oh yeah, I smoke weed every day, but that's not a drug, so.
In your generation, what was the social standpoint on drug use?
It was very commonplace, not unlike what we have now. The only difference was that we didn't have synthetics. The only drugs that I had ever been involved in was maybe smoking marijuana.
I'm an 80s baby, so at that time, like, from my understanding, marijuana was still being used, but a lot of people were getting involved in cocaine and crack. And to me, that's like, from my father being a substance abuse counselor and working with people who did do these types of drugs, it's very hard to kick, and it takes a lot of work to try to wean people off of that drug because it's very, very potent.
It was frowned upon. It wasn't as accepted. I think it's much more accepted now than it was when I was younger.
In this generation, you gotta be a model for the younger people, because how they see you, they want to be just like the older people. And right now they just see everybody smoking. But in this world, you gotta be your own person. You gotta stay strong, man. You can't follow everybody. I mean, in many ways though, like besides people smoking weed and people smoking harder drugs, they say weed is a gateway drug, but sometimes it's not. It's not a gateway drug, but people who be smoking all that other stuff, I mean, that's bad. That makes a bad reputation on drugs, period.
General society's against it. They want to clean up the streets.
In my generation, we didn't know anything about drugs. No illegal drugs.
How do you feel about the way drugs and the uses of drugs are portrayed by the media?
I don't know how I feel about that, to be honest with you. I think there's a lot of sensationalism. I think bad news is always makes for good news. So I think we get a glimpse of what's going on through media.
Where can you go without seeing drugs being used? Like I said, that's the government projecting this facade that drugs are bad for you, but yet Future can sit up here and talk about popping Zans and popping perks and smoking weed like it's nothing. So it's all hypocritical. If you're gonna be against it, then find a way to prevent it from happening. If you're gonna sit there and glamorize it, what can I say?
I think that they make it like it's something fun, something recreational, nothing that has a bad stigma to it. And I guess it can be fun and recreational, but there's so much out there that can harm you, or you take it and you harm someone else.
It's portrayed in a good way, but all drugs aren't bad for you.
Media highlights negative consequences of people dying and being hospitalized and committing crimes with illegal recreational drugs.
How do you think this image has influenced people's views on drugs?
I think it's commonplace, unfortunately. The media, the accessibility, and cost, if you will, has made it very common.
Huh. Prime example, y'all group. Y'all are so enamored by what you see in the media. That you have all these people that say, oh, drugs are bad for you, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. If you feel so strongly about that, then don't project that to our children. Because apparently they don't think it's a problem if they see it on TV, hear it in our songs, see it on YouTube videos where they're making bongs this big.
I think they're more lax. I think they think, oh well, if you can do this and I can do it, it's not that big of a deal.
According to the Sentencing Project, as of 2014, over 2 million citizens are incarcerated. 50% of those inmates are incarcerated on drug charges. How do you feel about the incarceration for drug offenses?
I think it's deserving. I think they probably get drugs while they're incarcerated, so.
If you get arrested for possession, that's a non-violent crime. You shouldn't even be put in jail for that. If anything, you need to get some damn counseling. Now, the ones who do need to stay in jail are the ones who have drug charges which lead to possible violence.
I think it's probably, it's definitely good that they're incarcerated.
People who are incarcerated by drug charges, most likely they were just trying to make some money to feed their family. So I don't blame them for that, because nowadays it's fucked up and these crackers won't hire a nigga. So you feel me? I don't blame you for that. You trying to get it out the muscle. You ain't asking nobody for it. So I think that's wrong. That's bad.
Drug addicts need more help than anything, than incarceration.
I really think they should have a program set in place to rehabilitate people.
How involved should the government be with drug users, such as like the punishment and aid, etc.?
Well, they should be totally involved in it.
I don't think the government should be that, 100%. I think they should, again, help the system, help the people, the system put something in place for those people that are on drugs. I don't think they should just don't prosecute them because they caught them with drugs, next week catch them with them again. They still doing, they need something to, bring the people, back to themselves.
It's illegal, so the government has to be involved.
Government shouldn't be involved at all because it's a personal choice.
How would you describe your feelings about drugs?
I don't use it. I wish it wasn't quite as accessible, bringing up kids in this world right now. The only thing you can do is really educate them on the pitfalls.
Sometimes the drugs have a very effect on people. They do crazy things. Some people, just mild for recreation drugs.
Drugs rock, man.
Like, I don't want my family to use them. I don't think I have a negative connotation to people who might use drugs recreationally. Damaging drugs, I guess I'm against them, like Flocka, where people go insane and kill other people.
I feel like this. You don't need to do them because it'll just mess up your whole mindset about things. And you know, especially if you use it consistently, you start to forget. It's one thing, you know, back in the day in the 70s when it was recreational, you know, and nobody really had a real issue with it. But in this day and age, who want to go to jail? Because that's what's going to happen if you get caught with it. Nobody wants to sit in jail. Me personally, I'm too cute to go to jail. So therefore, there's no need to do all of that. Drink. Alcohol you can do in moderation. A person, once they do a drug, 9 times out of 10, it becomes continuous, and then it possibly leads to addiction.
I don't think we need drugs to live, but it's a drug addiction as a disease, and people need help.
I think what I learned throughout this experience was that people might not always know the specifics about a topic, especially with drugs and like the whole government and the whole business behind it. It can get very complicated, but even though they don't have a full knowledge of what really is happening, they're still affected by it, whether it's them personally or it's by somebody they know. And it was really eye-opening to see how much drugs affect people that in ways that you wouldn't even think of. And it was really inspiring to see how people were able to overcome it and how people are dealing with drugs in today's society, because it's very prevalent. And
From doing this documentary, I learned that drugs really affect people's lives, whether it's drugs in general or people that use drugs. Their choices affect others as well as their lives. I also learned that the government does play a big role in the whole drug industry, and their role that they play shouldn't be as it should. Instead of taxing drugs and the importing of drugs into the United States, they should be trying to help rehabilitate those that are affected by those drugs. I also learned that you shouldn't do drugs because drugs can not only affect you, but affect those around you that you love. People always talk about how it's just talk. The whole drug issue is not just talk, it's really serious.